Is this better? There we go. I apologize for that. Technical difficulties. Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you all so much for being here with us on a lovely Friday afternoon. The market has been happy, and I'm even happier to have more information to share with you all about Spreadsheets Made Simpler Lesson 2. So, last Friday we talked a little bit about the basics of spreadsheets and what they look like, but more importantly, how to start using a spreadsheet in a very simple way. Today, I want to take it a little step further, where I want to talk about how to read information in a spreadsheet, as well as talking about some more advanced information that you can get out of it by using very, very simple things called functions. So today, the basics of functions, as well as referencing information in a table. So without any further ado, let's get right to it. But as is tradition here, we do record all these webinars live, and I want to say hello to everyone we have with us. So hello to everyone who's here live with us. Blaze, Juan, Esperanza, Rita, Emelida, Rosie, Wendy, Maria, Miguel, Andrew, Yasmin, Eddie, Eli, Andrew, Edis, Tanya, Josefina, Juan, Ana, Elena, Delia, Ernestina, Jose, Mayra, Chela, Romulo, Tanya, Sortero, Gerardo, Ana, and Vero. Welcome everyone. Let's get to the action, shall we? Alrighty then. So let's see what we have ready for us. Before we go anywhere, I want to quickly talk just a little bit of recap to make sure that we all know the basics of what we're going to be talking about and make sure that we remember information from last time. So a little bit of review. We're going to be working with spreadsheets, which are a giant grid of blank spaces called cells. These cells are arranged like a giant tile floor, where you have cells separated by these little lines. And each one of these tiles is one cell. And these cells, you can put anything. You can put letters, numbers, or even math equations. So with all of this information, we can then do math, we can do checks, and we can collect information all in the same place. And that's not it. As I mentioned before, we can put more than just numbers into a cell, where yes, the most common thing that we'll put in is a number or is a word, but we can do a lot more than that. So today I want to talk about what some of those are, but just no matter what, it doesn't matter if you're writing a complicated formula or just writing your name, you need to be able to know how to put information into a cell, and it's simple. You click on the cell, and then you start typing. And to save that information, you either hit Enter or Tab, and that will save what you just typed. And if you ever lose where you are, or you want to make sure you know what you're clicking on, all you need to do is find the box that has this little blue square around it. That tells you where you're looking. Now, let's again review some of the basic math that we learned last time, because Google Sheets and Excel allow us to do math equations in a very, very simple way, where we can use what are called formulas. As all formulas must have, these will start with an equal sign, and then after that equal sign, we can put in whatever math equation we want. And again, when you press Tab or Enter to save it, the program will automatically do all the hard work for you, giving you the answer in that cell. And again, let's just review the basic arithmetic that we learned last time and how it would look in Excel. If I had the question 5 plus 5, it would look something like this. Remember, we always need that equal sign to tell us that we're doing math, and then 5 plus 5. If we wanted to do subtraction, it would look something like this. Equals 10 minus 5. The answer would be 5. Multiplication, you do equals 5, this little asterisk or star, and then 4. Division, would be 10 dash, or sorry, 10/5. That would give us the answer 2 because it's 10 divided by 5. And all of these can be done in a very, very simple way in a spreadsheet. So let's now go and look at what we're going to be learning today. Today we're going to go a little bit further. We're going to talk about how to read a table of data in Excel or Google Sheets, how to point to a specific place or reference information in another cell, how to write a function, and two of the most basic functions that there are, as well as how to use these functions. And again, just like last time, I've created a worksheet for you all so that once you're done learning, you can go and start practicing. Let's tackle line item number 1, how to read a table of data. So reading a table or reading any information is like a game of Battleship. From left to right, we have our columns, and these will be lettered starting with A, B, C, D, E, all the way down. And then from top to bottom, we have our rows. These will start with 1 at the top and then go down and down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down. So if I ever wanted to say, where is this one piece of information, I would use the letter and then the number to tell you where that thing is. Let's practice. Using this example that I have here, we see that column A is everything on the left, column B is everything in the middle, and C is what we have on the right. Then we have our row 1, below it row 2, below it row 3. So tell me, which cell has the number 10 in it? If you answered B1, you would be correct because it is, here's the number 10. So it is in column B, row 1. Now, what column, or what cell rather, has the number 300 in it? And as a reminder, you always do letter first and then number. So letter, then number. If you said for which cell has the number 300, if you said C3, you would be correct. Again, the column we go down and we find the 300, then across is 3. Then the last question, what cell has the number 3 in it? Pretty simple. Column, so here's the number 3. So column is A, row is 3. And that's how easy it can be. Now that we know what a table or what information looks like in a spreadsheet, let's do something real. Let's talk about some real information that you may see. Because typically, when you get information, it's not just going to be messy like this. It's oftentimes going to come labeled. Everything will tell you what it is. So here's an example. Now, in a real spreadsheet, you're not going to have the row and the column. I just did that for you so that it looks a little bit neater and it's easier to follow. So now let's look at what we have here. Here we have each row is across is 1 day in the market, where what we have is in column A, we have our date. So this is what day we are looking at. And then column B is the stock's close. So This is real, well, not real stock data. This is what real stock data may look like. I came up with all these numbers. They're not some real stock, but the same thing this is what a real stock would look like if we pulled in data. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so on and so forth. And the close price. So bell rings, stock market closes. This was the price at the end of the day. On what day was it is in the same column. So every row here is two pieces of information. Column A is the date. Column B is the price. So, question now. What was the stock's close price on January 25th? January 25th, because we're using the numbers here, is 1/25/21. Hello, Elizabeth. Good to see you. What was the stock's close price on January 25th? Everyone's getting the answer right, but let's make sure that we can do this together. So we first need to find where 1/25/21 is. It's right here in row number 16. And we see that across that row, we have the stock price of $405.59. So that is our answer. So if you said $405.59, you would be correct. Now, bonus question. What is the cell column and number that close price is in? Emily doesn't even need to hear the question. She's already given the correct answer. She's just that smart. But, as I asked, what cell is the close price for January 25th in? You got it. So remember, the close price is in column B. So the answer is going to be in column B because we're asking for the close price. And the row is going to be row 16 because that is where we have our information for the 25th. Does anyone have any questions about this so far? Thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate the compliment as well as your participation in the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I do my best to pay attention to the chat so I can answer any questions that you may have. Alrighty. Again, if you have questions, let me know. I'll take a step back, but I want to continue because we have lots of information to go over today. So, now you all are experts in finding the information you want in a table. But in addition to putting information into a cell, you can also grab information out of one or do something called referencing. Reference is a big crazy word for, hey, I want that one. Give me that one. Simple as that. And you guys all already know the basics of it. So let's just use the table from before as an example. Just our simple 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. And let's do some addition. We are going to write a formula to do the question, what is 300 minus 3? But we're not going to put in numbers. We're going to use the information from this table to build or to make the formula. So let's start pretty simple. And I'll go through this one so that we all know what we're doing. What we're going to do is we need to find what cell contains the number 300. And as you all already did correctly earlier, cell C3. C3 is where we see the number 300. The number 3 is in cell A3. So we can use, instead of saying 300 minus 3, we can also give the formula. Remember, all formulas need to start with an equal sign. We have equal C3 minus A3, because that means C3 is 300 minus A3 is 3. And that would give us the answer. Well, I'm not going to tell you what the answer is. That's silly. Let's just do it, shall we? So we're going to go here, and we're going to type in C3. And then check that out, by the way. It turns it orange. And then you can see now that this box is orange. So it tells you the color to, it gives you the color to match up so you know where you're looking. If I made this C5, now the orange is here. C2, the orange is there. But again, we're doing 300 minus 3. Now we're going to do minus, and then we need to find where our 3 is. Our 3 is here in A3, so we type in A3, and then check that out. This one is now purple, and we can see where it's highlighting. So now we see we have orange minus purple, C3 minus A3. And if we hit enter or tab, we get the answer 297. The reason that this is very cool and very useful is not just in being able to do the very simple this minus this, but it allows us, there's more than one way to just tell it where you want it to point. So just like I did right there, you can type it in. You can type in C3 minus A3, or you can click on the cell that you want to use. So using the example that I just did, let's see what it would look like if I didn't want to type. We would first put in the equal sign, and then we would click on cell C3. We would type our dash to do minus, and then we would click on cell A3. Again, let's go and do that together. I'm going to delete that. Step 1, our equals, so we know that we're doing math. And now, instead of typing C3, I'm just going to go over here and click on C3. And now you see it added it for us. Then we type minus, and then we click on cell A3. We see the same thing, orange minus purple, C3 minus A3, 300 minus 3, and the answer is the same. So that is how easy it is to reference information in another cell. And if you want to just do a single cell, you type in your equals, you click there, or whatever piece of information you want, and you hit enter. Ta-da! That information is now copied. That is one of the most important things that you can learn when it comes to spreadsheets, because it is used everywhere. And to show you how it's used, let's talk about some functions. Functions are a very powerful tool because it allows us to do much more than just basic math. Functions are something that you can add to a formula. They are in addition to the formula, where these functions can do anything from adding up a list of numbers all the way up to writing mini programs, little things that actually think, all in that exact same cell. Now, functions will be something that we talk lots about for the rest of this beginner series, but even more so in the advanced series. You will hear me talk lots about functions. We'll cover lots of different functions, but we're going to take this all one step at a time, and we'll take it very, very slowly. So today, we are going to cover two of the most basic functions: average and sum. Average and sum are two of the most simple functions. Sum gives us the ability to take one or more numbers and add them all together. Average, we should already be familiar with. Just like in stocks, we have a moving average, which is if I took all of the numbers, added them up, and divided it by the number of those, or the count of those numbers, it gives us the middle point. And again, average works by taking all of the numbers, sticking them together, and dividing it by the average, or dividing it by the total number that we have. If that doesn't make much sense, don't worry, I'll go and I'll do an example instead of just using the average function. We're going to do it by hand so that we get to see what it looks like. Now, let's talk really quickly about how to write these functions. Functions, it doesn't need to be, but it's normal and it's pretty standard to write all of our functions in capital letters, where what we would do is we would start off by putting our equal sign to write a formula. Then after the equals, we would write the name of the function we want to use. After we write the name of the function, you need to have parentheses. The parenthesis is not just nice, it's necessary. So again, we would have equals to tell it we're doing something. Then we would have the function name, sum or average, and then we have our parenthesis. So it would look something like this if sum was capitalized. And inside of these two little brackets, inside of these two little parentheses, is where all the magic happens. That's where we tell it what we want the function to do. Because we are talking about sum right now, in this example, inside of these parentheses is where we put the one or more numbers that we want to be added together. This next slide is dense. There's a lot of information, but don't worry, we're about to talk through it all very, very simply. When we want to do sum, what we can do is we give it the numbers we want it to add up. Remember, sum is taking a list of numbers and doing 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. If we want to choose a list of numbers for it to do, we would separate each one of those numbers by a comma, as you see in this example here. So equals sum, parenthesis, A1, comma, A2, comma, A3 would give us A1 plus A2 plus A3. let's go together and let's do that really quickly. So we're going to start off with equals, and we're going to type in sum. And if you see right there, it tells us that this is the function we're going to use. You put your first parenthesis, and now we click A1, comma, A2, comma, A3, close parenthesis. And again, everything is color coded. Orange is A1, purple A2, cyan, bluish green, whatever you want to call it, is A3. So if we hit enter, it gives us the number 6, which is the exact same as if we had done A1 plus A2 plus A3. It's just a little bit neater to have it be parenthesis A1, A2, A3. So again, these give us the same information. Both of them take more than one number and add them all together. The only thing that changes is for the sum, we need the parenthesis, and then instead of putting plus and plus, you would put comma and comma. Is everyone with me so far? Danny has a question. Can I create my own Be a Prophet Google Sheet? Yes, you can. It is tricky because it requires knowing how to use a function that lets you ask FinViz for data. If you're interested to learn more about that, I will be doing exactly that in our advanced classes. So after I finish all of these basic Excel classes, I will be doing an advanced session where I will teach you how to do a little bit more with Excel. And the end goal of that is going to be creating a watch list that imports information from the web, so it gives you real-time stock data. It uses that stock data to create a watch list, and then from that watch list, you can get information out of it. Janeth is asking, sometimes I see the formula between a quotation mark. So the quotation marks it's not needed. The reason why you would have a quotation mark is because it's information you don't want it to do math with. It's like, instead of it saying this is math, it just says these are words. It doesn't do anything. So watch what happens. If I did quotation marks here, it's no longer doing the math. Because I put all of this stuff between the quotation marks, it reads it like it's a sentence instead of like it's math. Okay, because you asked, I will show you this. Let's look really quickly. That's the homework for today. You saw nothing. Okay. To show you what functions can do, and please don't get overwhelmed by this. This is after a lot of practice and using these. You know how on your homework, if you put in the wrong answer, let's say you put in like 19 plus 16, you know how it gives you a incorrect because? This is just a giant formula that I wrote. I use a bunch of different functions. And here you see those quotations that you were talking about, where what I do is I tell it, do some math. If that math is correct, or in this case incorrect, give you this sentence. So that is how those incorrect because work. Is literally there is a giant formula that does all of the work for you. Or for me, I guess. So that is what functions can do after you've done some practice. Consuelo is asking, do you do the same if you want to sum or add a column A, B, and C and rows 1, 2, and 3? Yes, I will get to that here in a couple of seconds, so just bear with me. But yeah, quotations, you're not going to use those. You're not going to use those in the beginner classes. We'll use those in the advanced class. Alrighty. Consuelo, don't worry. I promise I will answer your question. Blaze, it really is coding. It is, if you've done any basic coding, it's just a series of if statements. If this, yes or no. If that, yes or no. If it's not that, then this. It's literally simple coding, and that's why all of this information is so powerful. You can code mini programs inside of an Excel sheet. All right. So we just talked about this first point. Instead of typing out A1, A2, A3, which would give us A1 plus A2 plus A3, we can also choose a range of cells. What that means is instead of doing you, and you can say all of you, where anything between the first and the last get all picked up and used. And this can be one row. It can be one column. So it can be one row across, one column, or both. And you don't just need to type it. You don't need to type the range. Just like you can click on the one cell, you can click and drag to highlight the entire range. I have this slide, or this line in here. Today we'll focus on one column. Consuelo, you asked. I will show you what it looks like with more than just one column. But let's make sure we step through it just bit by bit before we bite off more than we can chew. So again, let's use the same example as before. Finding the answer to A1 plus A2 plus A3. And that will give us our function, which is equals sum parentheses. But instead of putting A1, A2, A3 in here, we're going to put our range. What we want to do is we want to get the three numbers in column A. And to do this, we need the first and the last cell. So we'll take our first cell, A1, put the dot, which is called a semicolon, and then the last cell, which is A3. That will give us the range A1 through A3, or our formula equals the sum of A1 through A3. Let's go and do that together. Welcome, Del Clapatron, or De Clapatron. It's a pleasure to have you here. These are not so much directly investing lessons, but I'll tell you what, this is more important to you than just an investing class, because these are Excel skills that I used all through high school, all through college, and got me my first job doing data analysis. I will literally teach you all of the skills that I had to get that first job, all for free, if you stick with me through these next couple of classes. So, welcome. You're coming in at a good time. If you missed lesson 1, it is available on our YouTube channel that you're on. So take a look at that one. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm always here to help out. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you to your mom for sharing this information with you, welcome, and I'm here to help you out. So if you have any questions, let me know. But let us go and practice this sum together. So we're going to go back to Excel, and we're going to do our sum. So equals our sum, parenthesis. Now I'm going to click. I'm holding down, by the way. Oops. I'm holding down the button. And then I drag down. And you see that now we have our A1 colon A3. We close that. Boom. So this is the exact same as A1, A2, and A3. I'm just going to quickly retype this out really quick because I want to add some headers for it. And again, you can just type this out if you want. So this is one column. We can also do one row, where if we wanted to take these three numbers that you see in blue, we can do sum, click and hold, and drag. This is now going to give us A1 plus B1 plus C1, which is 111. But we can also do our row and our column. But this doesn't just give you this and this. It doesn't just give you these 5 cells. It's going to give you all of this. Let's take a look at what that would look like, shall we? So we're going to go here, and we're going to click on A1, hold down, and we're going to drag down to C3. So now you see it says A1 through C3. And that is grabbing everything. A1, A2, A3, B1, 2, 3, C1, 2, 3. And that gives you the sum of all of this. So this is not just a formula that is good for one column or one row. It's good for an entire sheet of data if you so want. Again, in future webinars, I will go into more detail about what if I just wanted these 3 in column A and these 3 in row 1. We're going to talk about adding multiple functions together. But today, I want to stay with the basics. I want to stay with how to write a sum or an average function and how to reference information in another cell. So now we've done sum. Let's take a look at average because it will work very similarly. Let's go through and let's find the average of all of the numbers in column C. So if we wanted to do that, instead of, all of the logic is going to stay the same. The only thing that changes is instead of using sum, we're going to use average. So our function is equals average, parentheses. Now we need to choose our range. What information do we want to find the average for? And to do this, we want to get the 3 numbers in column C and find the average of them. And just like with the other one, to choose a range, we need the starting and ending points. So the first cell would be C1. Then we have our semicolon. The last cell would be C3. So our range would be C1 to C3. And our formula would be this. Equals, it's a formula. Average is the function. Parenthesis lets us tell the computer what we want to take the average of. C1 through C3. Let's go and look at that really quickly. So we just did all of our sums. Let's now do our averages. So same thing. We're going to type in equals average. I'm going to grab C1 and drag down to C3. Close. And it gives us an average of 200. Keep in mind that average is just like doing this. It is the same as saying the sum of this divided by the number that we have. 1, 2, 3. Because all an average is the sum of, it's the sum of the values divided by the number. So it's 100 plus 200 plus 300 divided by 3, because we have 1, 2, 3. Jose, I will show you right now. So what you do is you go up here to File, and then you click, you click here on Make a Copy. Once you click Make a Copy, it will let you save your own version of it. Edis is saying this average thing reminds me a little bit of SMA and EMA. You're right. And next week, we'll calculate SMA for ourselves. Again, I'm not here to teach you some basic Excel information and give you some silly practice exercise. No, I want to show you how you would really use this information. That's why I wanted to use this stock information, because this is what I want you to practice with, is information that you can really use. I want to teach you the skills to use it. Will it be in the Google Drive? Yes, it will be. And if you look in the resources section of this video, you can already find the link for the homework. But again, I want to show us one more thing here before we go too far into the homework. We did our average over the 3 values in this column. Let's go now and do the average of this row. We're going to do row 1. So we're going to type in average, grab, and drag. Close it off. Boom. 37, because it's 1 plus 10 plus 100 is 37. Josefina, I promise, moving average is incredibly simple. It's incredibly, incredibly simple. Because you don't need to write the formula every single time. Next class, I'll teach you how to write a formula once and then have that formula copy itself. Excel's pretty smart. Google Sheets is just as smart, and they'll do the formulas for you. Janeth, the icon in the toolbar with the function symbol, does it work the same as Excel? Yes, it does. So if you click, well, here. Oh, apparently it does not. Because let's see what it's supposed to do in Excel. Because in Excel, it gives you a list of the functions. So we're talking about this little function icon right here. If you click there, it gives you all of the different functions you can put in. It's weird that Google Sheets doesn't. So no, it does not work the same. In Excel, it would give you a list of all the formulas. Here, you need to put them in yourself. Yeah, I think that you're talking about this little function icon. Correct? Yeah, cool. Alrighty. So now I just showed you how to do an average of the row. Let's do it manually. We'll do it the normal math way, just so that we know that it all works, where we do the sum of that divided by 3. Did I type the word average? Yes, I did. I did type the word average. So just easy as that. You type the word average, and then you can do the math. Did I type the word average or use the function? Yeah, so I just typed it. So literally just AVERAGE. I typed the parenthesis, and then I want to show you that it doesn't just work for a row or a column. We can do both. So I'm going to grab to A1 and drag down to C3. And if I close that off, it gives us 74? Yeah, because this is why. What it is doing is it's the same as doing this. 1 plus 10 plus 100 plus 2 plus 20 plus 200 plus 3 plus 30 plus 300. There's 9 in total. So it's like doing the sum of all of this, which is 666, divided by how many numbers we have, which is 9, equals 74. Those are the basic functions. Let's go and practice with that real data that we have, shall we? I want to now look at this, and I want to be able to do something with it. And I'm not going to give away too much because the homework is there for a reason. But let's just do a couple of practice exercises, shall we? Let's go through and let's find how much did the stock price change compared to the day before it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here and we're going to do equals. I want to take the stock price from this day and subtract the price from yesterday. So again, all I'm doing is that very simple subtraction using these real numbers. So I'm taking the price from today minus the price yesterday, and if I hit enter, it gives us $5.05. That is how much the price changed. So if I were looking at it like it was a chart in like stock charts or something, actually, let me go to the matrix. Give me one moment. I want to just find a very simple example of this. Here you go. So if you were to look at, for example, XLE, and you see how it says $53 and then 3.1%, that 3.1% is just like this. It's just compared to yesterday when the market closed, how much is it up today? The answer for this case would be 505. What if now I wanted to find the average of the stock's close price? Let me see if I can do one thing really quickly. Okay. I will tell you this right now. Do not use these. Ignore these entirely. Please just use these row numbers and these columns for this answer. What is the formula to find the average price of the closing? So what in January of 2021, how would I find the average price of the stock? Sí, Irene. Este número es el cambio de los precios de ayer y hoy. I keep wanting to say Del Clapetron for some reason. Del Clapetron is correct. So what we have is we would have equals average between all of these. Again, this is slightly wonky because I added these new rows and columns. If I were to delete those and all we had was this, then you would all be exactly correct. Where we would take the average, grab the first price and drag down, and hit enter. The average price was $395.67. I wanted to try and make this easier to understand because working with tables is incredibly important, and it is what we will do for the rest of this series as well as all of the advanced series. I don't want to teach you information that you won't use. I want to teach you skills that you will use. What better examples to give you than stock prices, looking at stocks and finding information about those stocks. Let's go and look at the homework for next time. In this Google Sheet, which I'm about to share the link right now, there's the link for the homework. If you go here and go to File, Make a Copy, and hit OK, that gives you your own copy to work on. As always, you put your name, and then if you look over on the right side, this should look familiar to you because this is the same date and prices from the examples that I just gave. It's the same exact table, but now, in addition to the stock price, I've also gone through and I've done the price change for every one of those periods, as well as I've turned the price into a percent. Use this table, and again, I've given the column names so it makes your life a little bit easier. You don't need to be trying to grab two rulers and try and do all this craziness on, no, just, you can look at the row and you can look at the column. But this homework will give you some very useful information, including how much money did you end up making after January, and the average percent change. These are exercises to help you practice what you learned today, but it gives you real information. Because if you did this with a real stock, this would tell you what the average that you did per day was, as well as how much profit you made by the end of that month. Two very simple yet powerful formulas, not just for examples, but for real life use. That is the point of these classes. Does anybody have any questions before we end today's webinar? I want to make sure if anyone is confused or concerned about anything, or if there's anything that they want to hear me talk about in the next few sessions, let me know. I believe after this one, there's going to be 3 more classes. So again, we will have 3 of these in total. And just in case you missed it, I will show you an example of what the end of this class will look like. This. By the end of these free webinar classes, you will learn how to go to Finance Yahoo, grab and download a stock's data, put it into Google Sheets or Excel, do some basic statistics, find some basic information like the average, the best, and the worst that you've done, as well as graph those results. All of this will be done simply and easily so that you can take this information and do something useful with it. Anna is asking, how do you put your negative number red? I use something called conditional formatting. So I don't want to go too far into that today, but it lets you do, based on what's in the cell, it lets me do something with it. So what I did was I told it, if the value is less than 0, turn the number red. It's the same way that if you go to answer a question, if there's something here, it doesn't matter what you type. It doesn't matter what you type. It will turn green. If there is something in that cell, turn it green. I will cover conditional formatting in the advanced series. So if you're interested to hear more about how to do that or what it can be used for, let me know and I'll show you more about that. Another way that I've used it is we did a market indicators spreadsheet as part of our members only webinar series. And I used conditional formatting to make it where if the answer is yes, it's green, no, turns red. Just like here, I made one that will tell you that if the bull percent is more than the bear percent, it will be green. If it's less, it will be red. All of this is information that is very, very easy to learn. When will this seminar be available? Which one do you mean, Kike? The advanced Excel webinars or just this series that we're working on? And yes, Consuelo, this document can be filled in whenever you want. You don't need to do the homework if you don't want to. I don't check homework, but it's very helpful in helping you to practice this information because as you noticed, we build on the information bit by bit. Because next time Next class, I'm not giving you the price change and percent change columns. You're going to have to give me that. All I'm going to give you is the date and the stock price, and you will have to be the one to make the price change and the percent change columns from scratch. And trust me, it's much simpler than you may think. So, if you're interested to learn how to do that, join us next Friday for the continuation of this webinar series. If you're watching this while it's already recorded, it might be already available if you take a look at our YouTube channel. And while you're there, and while you're here, give the video a like, give our channel a subscription if you're so willing. It is free, just like all the information we try and offer here, because learning to invest and learning to use Excel, it can be done simply, and it can be done in a way that makes sense. And I want to teach you how I do it, because it's fun, it's easy, and these skills are applicable to investments, but also to school, to your job. Excel is something that you will use everywhere, and learning how to use it smarter and simpler is not just beneficial, it is almost necessary in these days. So thank you all so much for joining today's webinar. If you have any questions, or if there's anything you would like to learn in specific about in these classes, please shoot me an email at support@sectorsmadesimple.com. Again, in the resources section, you can find the link for this webinar, for the homework sheet, as well as I just put it in the chat again. Give that a go. You can send me the homework if you want me to take a look at it, and I can give you a little gold star. But until next Friday, where we continue these webinars, thank you so much for joining us here at Sectors Made Simple, and it's been a pleasure to help you make spreadsheets a little bit simpler to understand. Thank you all so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Take care. Bye.